So hello and welcome back to the Outback. So I was thinking that when I first set all this up out here, I did it for a singular purpose of putting my hammock up, because I love my hammocking. I go all over in the hammocks. So I thought I'd show you how I did it, in case you strapped for trees like I am. And it's a good idea to do it in your home environment, because then you can put the gear up, check it out, sleep out in the cold, the wet, and find out if you've got any problems, if the hammock's comfy, how to use it, and everything else that goes with it. So what I did realise I was going to need is these anchor bolts, heavy duty ones. You can probably get them from any DIY shop. And I put a couple of these strategically in the wall, and then I quite simply get a couple of heavy duty climbing carabiners that'll clip in them, and that gives you your anchor point then to put your hammock straps on. I've got a couple of different hammocks. That's the DDXL, so we'll put that up first and show you that one. I've got the One Wind, and I've got a Crewer winter cocoon, which I can show you. I've made underquilts. I've made a few mods to this, then I'll show you how I did them. And all that has been done by being able to put them up here. If I've got a problem, I wake up in the night cold, damp, wet, anything else, I can just go in and say, I'll sort it out tomorrow. You can't do that when you're out. So you want to make sure your gear's right, and that's one of the reasons I've done it. So then we'll crack on and show you how. So these anchor bolts, you'll need a drill bit that'll fit them obviously. I just drilled the wall here. As you can see, the size of that is actually in the brickwork there. But you can use these internally. You can put them in the house, in the walls. They should be strong enough definitely to take your hammock anywhere, so you can, no excuse for not putting a hammock up where you feel like. I find they're actually comfier than my bed most of the time. So they're a really good tip. All we do then is simply get a carabiner. Like I said, the climbing carabiners will take it all the way, pop it through and drop it down. I've put one there, and I've also put one over this side, which is a bit hidden up here. And it's there. Again, in the wall, complete. And just drop the carabiner in, as such. So these daisy chains that come with the DD stuff, most of you'll have seen them. You normally wrap them around the tree and through that loop, and then they've got the adjusters on there to adjust your hammock heights. So with the distance and the gap here, I just simply take the first loop and push her in there. And just hook that one back in, just to keep it out of the way. And then you've got the full adjustment of the daisy chain there. And then we do the same on the other side. Get the other daisy chain. Taking that loop. Just dropping her in, and I'll just hook that again, just to keep it out of the way. And then we'll have the full adjustment on that side. So, as I said, this one is the DD XL Frontline hammock. Excellent little hammock. The only thing I would say, DD, if you're listening at all ever, they're a little short. Make them 11 foot long and they'll be ideal. I think they're nearer 10. You can sleep quite comfortably in it with being the XL because you've got the width. And I have made a few mods to it that I'm going to tell you in the video as we put it up. So we'll just get her out now. She comes with the hoop poles, which is really handy. And as you can see, I've put her in a snake. As such. So we'll put it up now. So we've got, as I said, it's in a snake. A couple of little 12 kilonewton carabiners on the ends. Just drop one over your shoulder so you're keeping it off the floor. And take your carabiner end and simply just clip her in where you think she's going to be. And bring the other over to the other side. And again, just clip her in. For now, doesn't matter, you can adjust it in a minute. With the snake, you just, again, it's a DD snake. It just slides off all the way. Waterproof material. So it's great while you're out. And just slide it all the way up to wide. Revealing the hammock. And she won't go anywhere. And there's the hammock. Simply get the spreader bar things for the bug net, which are quite nice, and they go in the sleeves on the hammock as such. Push them all the way through, and then there's 2 adjustment holes on either end that they will slot into. And as you can see, I've put a bit of cordage through there. I'll explain that later. And that's that end up. We get the pole. So you get the other pole, they all slip together, they're all lightweight. It is backpackable, I have backpacked it. Well, there is lighter ones out there, and as I've already said, there are longer ones out there, which are a bit more preferable, especially if you're a tall guy. But I will give DD that with this one, that it's nice and wide, so a big guy like me is quite comfortable. But that little bit of extra length makes all the difference to your lie in a hammock. And you just slot her in again, and there she goes. I've put adjuster cords here that run through on the inside, and basically that just keeps the bug net up and off you while you're in it. It's a double zip, which is much better than the long wind, and the nice zips on these. And that's the whole hammock, and as you can see, it's exceptionally wide. You'd probably get 2 people in there if you feel like being cosy. The other good thing about the DD hammock is they come with it void in between, which they do air pads for and mats Personally, I've tried the mats, tried the air pads, they always move and you always get cold in the night. The underquilt that clips on it is far superior, but I have come up with an alternative which I will show you shortly. Another thing that I've done is these are little curtain crocodile clips, as you can see, that pretty strong on a bit of elastic, and they actually take the underquilts and other things. Really handy to have, as I'll show you. So I'm used to doing it out here. When you're putting your hammock up, when you're sitting in it, you want it to be so your feet are just off the floor or just touching the floor. So just by lifting them a little, you've got the swing, and then you've got about the right height for it. They're just a comfy thing to sit in as well. And as for getting it, simply lie back and enjoy it. And as I say, you can see this thing is massive inside, but it does lack on the length. And get it up, it's just as easy. Hold on to the hammock. What's the bug neck? Don't get your hat. And you're out. Inside, let's see what does it can get me. There's a little ridge line that's set up. That's just a bottle carrier. DD do supply these with a 3-pocket, so you can put your phone in, your torch in, and then your torch on that, and other things. And that's about that up and comfy. Well, I'm sure you're all familiar with these types of foam mat. So I've tried one of these in here, and I've tried it inside, and I've tried it in the pouch part of the hammock. And as you can see, it's kind of lost in there. So even if you got it on the right angle, it's not going to work for you. You're going to come off it in the night and you're going to end up freezing cold. So I saw the next thing I'm going to show you advertised, and I thought, okay, we'll try that. So I'm sure some of you are familiar with this type of thing. They're almost like a polystyrene blanket, and the other side of them is a foil type material. Very good for insulating. A lot of the backpackers are using these in the tents as an thermal inner ground sheet. So I thought this might be a good idea. But again, you put it in the sleeve of the hammock and it just rooks up. So I had the idea of reinforcing the corners and the middles and putting some eyelets in. And I've done that on both sides. And then I had the other idea of putting it in the hammock. So this bit was a bit worrying for me, but I actually burnt them through with an electric soldering iron, and then I've washed them, and that cordage you saw before I've brought through here and through the tops to the other side. I've also done an anchor point there in the middle, and again there on that side. So the other end of the cordage comes through here, and I'll show you how I set it all up. And I did one more anchor point in the middle on this side. So I'll set the blanket up inside and show you what I mean. So just by placing the cords through the eyelets and using these stoppers, they just slide up and lock it in place, and that actually keeps that blanket secured to that side. I know it's not the best photography in here, but I'm going to show you. Just by securing them with the toggles, as you can see in the ends there. And if you look inside, the under blanket now is actually sitting with the hammock, which means when you get in, you're insulated and it's not going anywhere. As you can see again, the velcro of the seam actually fastens up over it, so it's all concealed in it. Now in the hammock you have a completely insulated pad that covers the entire hammock. Not a bad idea, eh? Hope you're watching, Dee Dee. So now I'm lying in the hammock, and it doesn't matter where I lie in the hammock, I am insulated without an underquilt, and I can feel the thermal heat being reflected back through my feet, my back, my head, giving me a total thermal barrel here. Now I'm not sure what the insulating level is of these sheets, but it makes a huge difference doing this, definitely, without having an underquilt or a waterproof sheet quilt, whatever they call them. Just this on its own. So another thing you can do, if you've got the inclination to do it, is look out for these fluffy blankets, the little fleecy ones with the seams. And you can simply run some paracord by nipping into the seams all the way through the edge of the seams, and in the top you can put some elastic and then bring it down to a little clip and make yourself a rather nice warm underquilt. So by simply taking the little S-up carabiner there and clipping it over that end, and you remember these little hooks that I had with the curtain clips on, they simply clip round the paracord piece there that are attached to these cords, and it runs all the way along underneath, another one that end, and we'll look round the other side, and as you can see again, all clipped on, keeping the underquilt where you want it, and you've got even more insulation and warmth for a cheap do. A bit of paracord and a little blanket, and lightweight. And one more little mod that I've done on it is a good hanker cord onto the zip fastener on the inside there, and then get one of these lovely little collapsible bottles with a hoop lid, connect one end of it to the bottle and let it angle outside your hammock. And if you haven't guessed what it's for yet, when you don't want to get out in the freezing cold rainy night, those gentlemen have somewhere to go, as long as you're not hung like a donkey. Simply pull it up, do what you've got to do, and drop it back out till morning. No getting out in the cold for me. So the next component that I'm going to show you that I rather like is the DD Jura 2 sleeping bag XL. Pretty good bag. I'll show you why. There she is, laid out in my hammock. And a couple of good things about it. One is the foot box here. It's a solid waterproof material, called water resistant material, which means you can actually get out with your feet and your legs in it and stand up, and you're not going to get wet and cold. And the other good feature about it is the central zip, which comes all the way down, as you can see. It is a two-way zip, but again, I've made a little mod. I've put a safety pin through the bottom, because when you're half asleep in the middle of the night, you find yourself opening the other zip and not opening the sleeping bag, or it slides up and starts letting drafts in. So simple tip, put a little safety pin across it, stops it coming up if you want to. Opens up into a good bag. There's an internal pocket, not that I've used it much, maybe for a tissue. Velcro fasteners, a good baffle, it goes all the way around the neck, and another pocket on that side. They're not the warmest of bags out there, but for the price of them, they're a darn good bag. I did have a problem with the first one I had, and the lining came away here. The stitching wasn't very well stitched. I think I got a Monday Friday one, which I'm sure you all know about. But I got in touch with ED, and being the good company they are, they sent me a brand new one out to replace it. It's got a baffle on the hood as well. They're a heavyish sleeping bag because of the footbox, but they're a very good sleeping bag for the price. And when I'm at home, I like to stuff a little soft pillow in the hood there, just for a bit of comfort in the hammock. But when I'm out, I take an inflatable and do the same thing. Just wrap my shirt around it for a bit of softness, and it'll stay in the hood with you all night then. So I've got my water bottle in there in case I get thirsty tonight. I've got my torch hanging up in case I need a bit of daylight. And the other thing to mention I forgot about on the DDs XL is they have 4 little pockets, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, which you can shove your mobile in, your tissues or anything else you want, your bag of sweets, whatever you like. And I'm quite comfy now, so I shall try this out for you guys tonight with all my handmade stuff in it, and let you know in the morning. Night. So another thing that I've made up out of an old, very lightweight, very thin nylon ground sheet stroke tarp. Again, it had a little seam down the side and across the tops. So again, with a bit of paracord and elastic and clips, the same as I did the blanket underquilt, I've now got a waterproof cover to go over it, and it just clips on over that, as I'll show you. So now not only do we have 2 thermal layers, the reflective polystyrene foil back sheet and the thermal blanket, we also have a wind and rain layer, which is just clipped on with the same curtain clips that I showed you before. And they're just clipped on at the top back here, just with the S hooks. But by doing this stops any wind and moisture, obviously, but it's mainly the wind. This cuts the wind loss down, so again this retains a lot more heat now, which I shall try this evening. They reckon it's going to go down to about 0 degrees tonight. Might even get a little ground frost in the morning, just using the DD bag and the setup I've got on, and let you know. And then we can compare that to the DD underquilt at some point and see how it goes. As promised, I'm here in my hammock, out back in the Outback. It's about 11 at night. It's getting colder, you can see your breath. I've actually put my one wind down quilt in with me in the packaging hanging up, which I'll show you in a minute, just in case it gets really chilly, because it is dropping quite a lot. And I've got a thermometer in with me to hopefully tell us the temperature. So I shall just video that in a second and we can all have a look. And got everything as I said before, all set up with the homemade stuff, just to see what it's like and how warm we go. So I'll show you the thermometer next. Good night. So there you go, at the minute, that's just outside the hammock, 4.9 degrees C. So that's what we're dealing with as a temperature. And you can feel the cold, but not in here, just in the air. And as I said, not that you'll be able to see it, but there's my one wing quilt hanging up. It's a down quilt, and it's added onto this, onto the sleeping bag. I've been down in the miners' figures with that, quite cosy, so that's just in case it gets cold. So good night all, see you in the morning. Well, good morning. Oh yeah, it's let's have a look. 6.9 degrees C, and I didn't use my quilt, as you can see. It's still hanging there. Yep. And welcome back to the Outback. It was a pretty chilly night. It's about 7:20 in the morning at the moment. Just under 7 degrees. I don't think it went below zero. It probably went down to 2 or 3 degrees. That was cold enough for this setup. Wouldn't want to go any colder with it, else you would feel the cold. Other than that, it's pretty good. I'll go back to sleep now. Night. Reasonable night's sleep, quite comfy in the hammock. You've seen the temperature. I wouldn't want to go less than a couple of degrees above freezing. I think anything below that and getting into the minus figures, you're going to start feeling the chill factors. Although the underquilt side of it wasn't bad at all. So that seems to have done the job pretty well. More to the two with the sleeping bag thermal qualities. And if you're wondering, yes, you should always wear a woolly hat when you're hammocking or bivvying, because you lose about 70% of your body heat through the top of your head. So other than that, yeah, quite a comfy night's sleep. And I'll see you soon. Bye. So I've had to add this bit on because I'm useless when I'm tired and there's too many ones. It wasn't the one winged quilt, it's the OneTigris down quilt, and it's an excellent bit of kit. Love that. Really lightweight for what it is, and the thermal properties are brilliant. And that's me done then. That's the DD XL hammock with my modifications, as you've seen. that all work fine, keep you warm to a degree, and the DD Jura 2 sleeping bag. So what I'll do is a comparison for you and show you the DD Underquilt and how I clip that on here, and a different sleeping arrangement inside than the Jura bag, and we'll have a look at that. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. If you like it, like it. If you don't, let me know. Leave us a comment. Talk to me. Tell me what you want to see. And if you do like it, again, let me know. All the best.